is Springbok Radio and the South African Top 20.
I'm about to hand you over to the gruesome Gresh. This is your last top 30, David.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Have a happy broadcast.
Thank you.
A time check for 4 o'clock on Springbok.
Robin, it's such a privilege to be here tonight and to be here with the launch of your book that you did. And I'm sure people that did not know about your book is going to be very happy. The gone days of the well-known Springbok radio. And it was, I'm sure, something that you wanted to do for many years. And the dream came true. And what I've read about the book, it's something wonderful. It will take you back so many years. The good old days, the real fun days of radio. Won't you just tell the viewers about the fantastic book that you have about the good old days of radio?
Well, you jog my memory. When I say you jog my memory, I think of the early days of radio in South Africa. I think of Springbok Radio. I wish John Burks could have joined us
Sure.
because he spent some time on the station, the so-called Sunshine Station.
Yeah.
But as you would appreciate, that's the reason why I invited David Gresham to pen the foreword for the book. David cut his teeth on Springbok Radio in South Africa, bearing in mind initially he was on LM Radio. He was on Springbok Radio, and that's when I first got to know David. And when I asked David to write the foreword, he didn't hesitate for one moment because he thought I was rekindling memories in him, and the foreword would actually be a great gift for the reader of the book. Radio in this country has come a long way, and in terms of the celebration of radio, 100 years on the 18th of December 2023, here I am through my entity called Radiocracy. What do? Let's celebrate it with a book. Invite listeners throughout the country and ask them to write about their memories and how they enjoyed radio. And believe you me, I had 100 listeners representing all walks of life in South Africa sending me their contributions and submissions. Over and above that, I got people to write about stations that were on air in South Africa that are no more. Obviously, including Springbok Radio. And a gentleman called Lynn Mansfield wrote the piece on Springbok Radio. And some of you will know Martin Bailey. Martin Bailey wrote a piece on Peace Radio, which he, together with Neil Johnson, ran it in 1994 for about a year or so in Cape Town, when South Africa earned its freedom and democracy. So it's been a wonderful, fascinating journey putting my radio memory together. And I made it fun, apart from the 100 listeners and apart from the old stations, the 12 radio stations that were on air in South Africa, I also included punchlines of old radio adverts, okay, which will bring a smile to many a face. Radio quotes, songs about radio, this day in history as in December 18th, as well as historical facts. Obviously, I could include all the facts in South Africa. Radio's come a long way from 1923, but I tried to capture the most important facts. But I'm also happy to say the book has an index because it helps the reader to navigate in terms of content, but it also helps potential researchers to look for content that could become possible topics for higher study in our country.
I want to ask you a question. And if you can answer this correctly, man, you're a genius. What was David Gresham's famous words?
Keep your feet on the ground and reach for the stars.
Sir?
Okay. And David Gresham, in my eyes, will always be a star.
Yeah.
Because his feet is always on the ground.
My word. Yeah, no, you're really a legend. And listeners or viewers, they must really, get hold of you and order your book. It's something else. Thank you so much. I'm Afrikaans speaking, but there's many Afrikaans, listeners that listen to Springbok Radio. Myself, in my days when I grew up at school, I used to love the Springbok radio stories in the afternoon. Liedjie van Verlange, die ongewenste vreemdeling, Patrollie 33 Charlie, Wolwe dans in die skemer. Man, there's so many. And then on a Friday night, whoever missed squat cars? So I think we must put a couple of jingles in here that people can just think back the wonderful days of Springbok radio.
You talk about you being Afrikaans. All I can say right now, watch this space.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Robin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Dis David Grace. Hier, maar hy kan trend uitgebord. Nee. David?
Yes.
Rudy Rousseau.
Hello, Rudy.
What a privilege. This is my wife, Annelie.
Annelie? Hello, Annelie.
Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? David's wife.
Pleased to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. Hello.
You
Nice to meet you.
are a legend. You gave me, from my school days, the love of pop music. What a privilege, sir, to meet you. Sure, the days just flew. You cannot imagine so many years has gone past. The wonderful days of Springbok radio.
No, listen, it was a great period for all of us.
One question that I wanted to ask you, if possible, where did you get your love for the pop music?
I was born with it. My father said I was mad and he can't control me, so but it was fun. I loved music.
Yes.
As a child, I was crazy. I had a gramophone, and I used to play all these old records.
My
It's
word.
something I enjoy.
You know, we had to do national service, and on the border, what kept us alive was Springbok radio.
I did
It was-
special messages for all the kids at the
All the troopies on the border. My word, what a privilege to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Later on, if possible, I just want to take a picture.
Sure. I never went to shirt. As a matter of fact,
So where did you actually get the shirt from?
from in America, from Esme, she said, all your life with John Lennon, because I knew John. He said, I've got
I know you
something.
told me the story.
She brought me some shirt. She came to visit us in 16 months.
She lived in Texas.
David, how many, if this is now a very tricky question, how many pop music were actually banned by the previous government on Springbok radio?
I'll never know.
You never know.
I know they banned.
What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I never know why they.
Yeah.
But it was a policy about certain words. But the biggest band was the Beatles.
Yeah.
And I interviewed John Lennon in 1969. It's actually online.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him, and he was unbelievable because he was with Yoko, and I met Paul McCartney.
Yes.
He gave us an apology for what he said for Springbok Radio.
Yeah.
You had an incredible collection of Rogues Gallery in your office, pictures with Frank Sinatra.
We're 55.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Okay. Hi, Gene, how are you? Nice to see you again. Because I know you want to see the excellent. Of course. Enjoy.
Hazel Felton was
Yes.
Hey, how
on the red carpet.
On the red carpet tonight.
How are you? Are you well? Yeah, of course. How are you? Are you well? Nice to see you.
Miskien gee vir my 'n hou ek die popcorn, dan kry jy net vir ons koel. So. O, okay. Malcolm.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. Put it in the safe place. Yeah, we've got lots to talk about.
We've got lots to
I
talk about.
love the railways. I love, because it's in my blood.
This is Malcolm Gooding, the best voiced artist for so many years. What a privilege to meet you, sir.
Oh, what a privilege to see you again
Yeah.
after all these years.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know that I'm going to be seeing you again because there's lots to discuss.
Yeah,
lots
man.
and lots of it.
I'm not sure what this funny thing is. Who you said? Good evening, everyone. First of all, excuse me if I'm a bit husky, but Robin, congratulations. This has been a massive task, and it's taken years to put together. It took you years to find me. How the heck did you find me out there from Durban, all the way from Natal? But thank you for inviting me on the forward, and also this evening has given us an opportunity for me to say hello again to one of the best voices in this country, Malcolm Gooding. Malcolm, wherever you are, it's been years, and was a great ally and a great friend at Manifanika, where we had studios, and also Gus Gedebi, Sabona Gus. It was magnificent to see you. You used to sneak into my studio in the days when you couldn't walk into the white side, and it was an honor to have Gus and see him again. My career is really music bound. Radio, believe it or not, was a means for me to get into music. I was a music fiend, and I couldn't find a way of getting what I really wanted. And so I joined a production house called Herrick Merrill Radio Productions, where we were producing programs like, I wonder if you remember No Place to Hide, Address Unknown. It was Afrikaans programs for Liefde, and a number of radio shows that were very successful. And I was one of the sound engineers working with Peter Lotus. Mark Saxon was the main character of No Place to Hide, and believe it or not, all that weird music that you heard in the later years I had composed because they asked for something strange, so they said, go to Gresham, he's strange enough to do it. So that was part of my career at the beginning, and then I was auditioning for a radio station called LM Radio, which was not successful for about 3 years, but with June Seymour, who was one of our actresses, main actresses, and the late Rob Vickers, I had an opportunity to audition 3 or 4 times, and David Davies, who was the head of the station, decided to take a risk with me and moved me down to what was then Lorenzo Marx, Mozambique, and I had the manic pleasure of meeting the late Darrell Liefde, and unfortunately my very good friend John Burks, who had passed away, I think about 2 years ago. Then I was back at Springbok Radio 2.5 years later with the 4:30 special for Teal, because I had joined the record company, and they had changed the program. Springbok changed the program from the 5:30 special, to the 4:30 special, and then they decided to give me 2.5 hours for the David Gresham show from 4 to 6:30, and my newsreaders were Dennis Smith and Neville Dawson. Eric Cordell worked with us, and Evelyn Martin had moved up to South Africa from Mozambique because the war that broke out in 1975. So a lot of Mozambicans and radio people moved to Johannesburg, and we started broadcasting what was, I can't remember the year, but it became Radio 5. 1975. 75 was the year we started test transmissions, and we did Sunshine 3.0. Ronnie Wilson was in charge of the SABC, and in 76 they were going to, well, we started Pop Shop. The story was, you might have noticed that I have a birth twitch, which they said, the doctors tell me was a slight Tourette syndrome. I've lived with it. And Ronnie Wilson said, I'm going to give you a great team who will look after you. But if you blink once, I'm going to fire you. So that really didn't work well with me. So this was a hard one. So I had to use matchsticks, not really, but to keep my eyes open, because I was born with this funny little thing, damn thing. But, you know, in a way, I realized it was about the people that you meet and who accepted me and who worked with me. And it was rather an important part of my life, because when they wanted to operate, my family said, no, do not do it. Dr. Applebaum in New York said he could get rid of it, but they would have, believe it or not, drill into my brain, which I don't have, so that already is a problem. But Pop Shop was a very special program for me, and although we're talking about radio, it enhanced my radio career, because through television I had met so many people, and I had moved on to Springbok Radio's main show after 76 Pop Shop, and Springbok closed down in 85, at the end of 85. And then from there, I really wanted to compose music, and I had written songs that no one really liked, so I produced a young football player called Sean Rennie in the end of 69, 1970. Clive Calder, who started Zonda Music, was working at EMI, and the producer who became world-renowned, Mutt Langham, married Shania Twain, supported my endeavors, and we started a record label which next year will be 55 years young. So I'm rather proud of that. In between that, in 69, I had the massive opportunity of interviewing John Lennon in London, because of the remark he made that the Beatles were stronger than religion and that Christ, and Springbok Radio automatically had outright banned anything that was Lennon, McCartney, the Beatles, no matter orchestral, vocal, and it was really serious. So I did get the interview the same year with Morris Gibb, Barry Gibb, Lulu, who was married to Morris of the Bee Gees, and they became part of my lives. The Bee Gees became super famous. Olivia Newton-John, who I had worked with in London, and asked me if it was safe to come to South Africa, because we were then in the throes of the craziness of apartheid. And I said I believed she could come and she would be safe if she wanted to perform here. The years that went on from there was, although I was very involved in radio, something that was a passion, the major passion remained music composing, which I continued, and the commencement of a record company that would discover local artists. And I'm talking about indigenous music. We had some of the best Shangaan hits with MD Sharinda, with the Love Brothers, my Zulu boys, who were absolutely incredible, the Rustenburg boys, the Petty hits, and that was my real passion. Although radio was my means to get there, but never forgetting that all the programs we produced Valvoline VIPs of the Air with Peter Lotus that I was producing, and that was the year I got the position, I was offered the position to go down to Lorenzo Marx. So jumbling everything together, the one major part, and I forgot that when Elton John came to South Africa, I had worked with Elton's composer before, the lyricist Gary Osborne, and in between the Bernie Taupin years, Gary and Elton wrote together, and that's how I met Elton. That was a wonderful experience, and we did, I think, a 10, 12-minute interview for television at the time. So there's an awful lot that's happened in my life. In between that, I found this blonde woman, Ismay, who actually found me as well in hospital because I was there for treatment. And she's looked after me for, I think, 56 years, and I'm thankful because I have to mention that she's the one that has pushed my career and has supported me in every endeavor. And they say, is there someone in your life? And I acknowledge Ismay for everything she has done to help me through all the radio nights, the top 20s of Springbok Radio, the afternoon shows, the daily shows. I wonder if you remember Dial a Tune. Frank Ferro's here. Frank, I think if you're here, you will remember you worked with us at Springbok Radio and the craziness of Dial a Tune. It was a wonderful show. We were a great team. Russell Pope, my engineer, who passed away, I think, a year and a half, 2 years ago, a very young person, but was my commander, as I always said. But Robin, I think I've talked enough. I've said an awful lot. And there's a lot of time that has passed, but this wonderful encyclopedia of broadcast, I wish you well. I congratulate you on all the time and the effort that you've put into it. And I'm extremely honored that you did find me, and because I'm a hidden entity, you know that, and that you did look and find, and thank you very much for offering me the forward. I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you kindly.
That's news gone down. Thank you, Bill Sharp. This is Springbok Radio, and believe it or not, today we're going to count down the 30 biggest best-selling 7 singles and maxis of 1985. Number 1, it remained at the top of the charts for 11 weeks and on the top 30 for 24 weeks. Some of you were right in selecting these. And this one, many of you were, as a matter of fact, Billy Ocean and Loverboy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, South Africa. How are you doing? Wednesday it is, the midweek session, sure enough. And still this week, our personality remains John Ireland. And Peter's talking to him, and Peter also presents pop news. There's a date with Coke, Grant's on controls, and I'm Gruesome Gresh. And here's the first record in the program, and it's the first hit from Asia. Number 5, Heat of the Moment.